Welcome to the Clothes-Free Living Update, brought to you by the folks at clothesfreelife.com. We're excited to be able to bring you this regular feature of the clothes-free news from around the web, information related to clothes-free living, and much more. Now here's your host, Earl D.
And a happy Clothes-Free Friday to everyone. I'm hoping that you folks are in a little better weather climate and experiencing a little better, warmer weather situation. I'm sitting here drinking a cup of hot cocoa to try to stay warm on this Clothes-Free Friday. But that notwithstanding, I want to say welcome and to another edition of the Clothes-Free Living Update. So if you're out there listening on Twitter or on the Spreaker app, just go to Clothes-Free Life, Spreaker.com, Clothes-Free Life Radio, and check us out. This show is live today, so we're going to be able to be chatting with you, and want to give you a little bit of a heads up on what we have on the program today. So we will be having the interview that we recorded a couple of weeks ago with Cleo from Topless Topics. We're going to have that in a few, and that will cover most of our time today. But we're also going to talk a little bit about some other stuff that's going on, some conversations that we've had on the interwebs, and just bring you up to date with all the news, views, and so forth that are out there regarding naturism, nudism, and clothes-free living. So I want to welcome you again on board and hope you enjoy this broadcast. I want to start us off with a quote I came across today on working on a couple of graphic images on Wikipedia, and it's a quote from the International Naturist Federation, and I really just love this quote. It says, "Each country has its own kind of naturism, and even each club has its own special character. For we too, human beings, have each our own character, which is reflected in our surroundings." And the reason that jumped out today for me was there's just been some conversations we've been having on Twitter about how we present the experience of clothes-free and naturist and nudist living. And the conversation this week really connected with this idea that I was suggesting that we should stop trying to make naturism into this magic bullet of a thing. I said that because I was seeing a lot of tweets and a lot of memes and things like that put out by naturist folks suggesting, this idea that somehow if you just get naked, everything's going to be great. All is going to be well. All your world's problems are going to be solved. Not true. We all know it's not true. But when we say things like that, it makes us sound really, in my words now, really silly. Because people see that as a representation of what we believe. The broader society does, as a representation of what we actually believe. And so we run into this problem with not really seeming credible. And that's what throws us all off. And I think if we can't think about that and how we're perceived, we're missing a real opportunity to engage people. So I basically said, and I'd said it before, by the way, I'm your host, Earl D. And I want to just say, some people say I'm opinionated about this, but I just said, let's stop with the, hey, naturism solves all your problems if you just get naked, right? Being naked doesn't prevent you from getting cancer. Being naked doesn't prevent your relationships from falling apart. Being naked doesn't get you a job. Well, maybe it might if you find a job at at a resort or something like that. But even most resorts, the folks there don't work naked, right? And someone said, well, you could become a life model. How many of us can make a living as a life model? Not a whole lot. So it's really just such a deceiving kind of incredible thing to say, hey, if you want to have a better life, just get naked. And so I said that, and again, there was a lot of pushback. And folks were not altogether happy with my thoughts. Someone said, well, let us just have our happiness and excitement. Yeah, that's fine. But when you put that out there for other people to take in, it has an impact. They're listening, they're checking you out, and you end up, seeming, in my opinion, a little silly, a little incredible, and that's not something I think we really, really need. And I think it comes from the fact that we live and operate, at least online, in this bubble. There's this bubble of experience that somehow we don't think about what other people are taking in and how other people who are outside of this bubble that we live in perceive things. And I think that's a really, really important aspect of the dialogue. Do we just want to live in the bubble? If that's the case, then we should just not complain that the mainstream society wants nothing to do with us or how we want to live. Then we should just say we're going to live in this bubble. We're going to live in this secluded, walled off place and not engage people. But that's the big question that we need to think about. And I want to give a shout out to a couple of folks who are chatting with us online. And yes, you can chat with us online. Just go to Spreaker.com /close-free-life and chat with us online when we're live. And want to give a shout out to Simon T, who posted something in response to this question on our website and said it almost becomes religious, right? The way we operate in this bubble, and we don't think about how other people are choosing to interact or perceiving us. And we say things that make perfectly good sense to each other, right? And someone said, of course it's not supposed to be literal, right? Yeah, we know that. But people do take it literally. Right, just like people take literally, as someone else tweeted this morning, when the fashion industry says, yeah, these clothes are going to change your life. People take that stuff literally. They go out and buy the clothes. We know that, right? So people do take things that we say literally. So we need to be more thoughtful, I think, about what we say and how we say it, and allow for these different expressions of clothes-free living. That's why we talk about clothes-free living, and that's why at closefreelife.com we have this mission that we think encompasses a whole lot more than just getting naked. And we talk about giving life to naturist ideals and nudist practice. So the philosophy of naturism, giving that some legs, as well as putting some meat on the bone on the idea of just getting naked. That's clothes-free life. That's clothes-free living. And we want to do more than just philosophize about things and talk in the abstract. But we also want to do more than just think that getting naked is all it's about. Right? And that's an important coming together kind of thing that I think we can do. And if we're thoughtful about this stuff, if we think about the words we use and how we use those words, and that's why we're not big believers in this idea of calling out people who don't practice clothes-free living and saying, oh, those Textiles or those prudes. We don't think that's helpful. You don't engage anybody by calling them a derogatory name, just as folks who practice clothes-free living don't want to be considered pervs or freaks. That's, I think, really important. And so that quote again, I'll just share it with you one more time. I think it's just a powerful one. Each country has its own kind of naturism, and even each club has its own special character. For we too, human beings, have each our own character, which is reflected in our surroundings. We're unique in that respect. And so that's just a really, I think, interesting thing to start off with. Didn't mean to go on a rant there, but I think it's something really interesting to start off with. And we're going to turn things around a little bit today on the program. We're going to talk a little bit about the news and the bear news and the buzz out there first, and then we're going to end with our interview. And it was such a wonderful interview with Cleo from Topless Topics. So I just want to touch on a couple of things that are out there in the bear news that we are looking at. And so here's the first thing. The Naked and Afraid TV program, which a lot of people who are kind of purists don't like because they pixelate the pubic area and the breasts and sometimes the backside of the participants. Had this week one of the contestants proposed by long distance to his girlfriend, right there, naked and afraid, or maybe not so afraid of what she was going to answer. And I thought that was really awesome. Because that goes a long way to normalizing this stuff and making it, just a part of regular life. In contrast to that, there were two articles that came across our news feed this week. One from a magazine, online magazine called The Skinny, which reported on a clothes-free swim that some folks in Glasgow in the UK do regularly, and they sent a reporter out to participate in that. And her report was generally very positive, in spite of the fact that she said that she considered herself a prude. What I end up having a problem with is they ended up categorizing this report under the category sexuality and deviance. Right? And that, anybody who knows anything about social discourse and social stigma knows that a sexual deviant is the kind of like the worst thing you could ever be categorized as in modern culture. And that's what the category they put this report on, a simple clothes-free swim, under. And so while all the conclusion of the reporter was all very positive about nudity not